Starr's Beer Review. Tonight we're going to take a look at one of the new / old budget beers that we have here in New Brunswick. Going to take a look at Old Milwaukee. Now, we've had this at least for the last couple of years, but it's brewed by the Stroh Brewing Company, which is a part of the big Pabst empire. Old Milwaukee was originally introduced, I think, in around 1890. This is as per their Wikipedia page. And was reintroduced in 1955 by the Schlitz Brewing Company as a budget beer. Since then, Schlitz has changed hands over to the Pabst Brewing Company, and now Old Milwaukee is a subsidiary of the people that make Blue Ribbon. So, this particular beer weighs in at a whopping 4.9% ABV. Amazingly enough, the same ABV as Pabst Blue Ribbon up here in Canada. As it's brewed by Stroh Brewing Company, this is actually brewed in Guelph, Ontario, which it says Guelph, Ontario right here, by Sleeman for the Canadian market. I think in the States, this particular beer rates in at 4.6% ABV. Here it's 4.9. So recently, New Brunswick Liquor, we've had this for a few years now, but recently it's been added to the same list of the budget beers like Molson Dry and James Ready Lager Light and 6.0 and what's the other one? Keystone. We just got Keystone in. So, this is Stroh's answer. Let's take a look at it. I think it's funny that it's got the same ABV as Pabst Blue Ribbon in the Canadian market, so I wonder. Yeah, anyway, it's got a really nice can to it. It's got a pretty lady on the can, like a pin-up girl. Very, very, like, 50s styled kind of girl on the side. Looks like it's, once they reintroduced it in the 50s, it hasn't really changed much since. So looking at it, it's actually got an impressively big amount of head on it, and but a very straw yellow pale appearance. It looks like your standard macro lager. That said, people who are used to drinking macro lagers aren't going to be offended by the appearance of this, like anybody who gets offended by it too dark of a beer, but it's not bad. Looking at the carbonation, there's a decent amount of carbonation coming up through the glass, if you can see that, but it's not horribly plentiful or anything. It's not like it's streaming up to the glass, and it's got actually a really nice appearance to the head, where it's got a little bit of enough head retention anyway to that it's only gone down maybe to about half size, and it's got kind of a pillowy appearance. But that said, the bubbles are quite large and soapy. Let's give it a sniff. There's like a subtle amount of sweetness at the top of this one. And almost like a bit of a mustiness. It's kind of like a sweet must. No trace of hops, really. Just a slightly fruity, slightly floral, sweet mustiness. Not a whole lot. And the head's almost died off. It's not bad, but it's not... I wouldn't necessarily call it uninviting, but it's not exactly, you know, welcome, like a welcome mat or anything. It's... Stirring it up a little like that gives me a little bit more like an orangey citrus kind of smell to it. Strange. Anyway, let's give it a sip down the hatch. Well, it's not Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's very watery. Really watery. And a definite note of a corn grain in there as well. It's almost like it's got toasted barley and toasted corn in the back. It's almost like that corn chip kind of flavor. A light amount of sweetness throughout the mouth. Not a whole lot. Just like a very subtle amount. And it's about as strong as the flavors of corn in there. All flavors are very, very mild. There's really not a whole lot to say here. The body is light. It's maybe a little heavier than what would be considered a light beer, like Bud Light, but it's almost to that level. And It almost kind of strikes me as something that might be a little filling. It's got a light body, but it's somewhat full. Strange. Weird. All in all, it's not bad, especially for a budget beer, especially for the price. This new series of budget beers they've introduced in New Brunswick all come in at around $18.49 for a case, under $20, and that's for 12 cans. So really, you can't argue with the price. And for the price, it gets probably extra marks for me, but it's unspectacular. It's not great. It's not. It's almost good. Certainly worth the price. Although personally, I'd probably spend the extra money and get something from Unibrew while we still have it. I think I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5, just because it gets extra points for being a cheap budget beer at the same time as being not so bad and inoffensive. But all in all, it's not really an incredible beer. Otherwise, I would have given it like a 1.5. I like that it's cheap. When it comes to the new budget beers, my favorite's still James Ready Lager, and that hasn't changed. So, but all in all, if you want to give it a shot, some places around New Brunswick have been selling this in single cans, in a big bins where they're giving all the budget beers out for people to try, which is I think a smart move to get people hooked on. Like, want to try each one? Go right ahead. Find out which one of these 6 cheap budget beers is your favorite. But I think my favorite's still James Ready Light or Molson Dry. So anyway, that said, 2 out of 5 from me. Thanks for watching Maxwell Starr's beer review. Talk to you guys later. Cheers.